different types of fallacy. So, bring this up here. You may be asking yourself, I should have pulled this up for you. What is fallacy? So fallacy is a mistaken belief, especially one based on an unsound argument. So this will be really useful if you're ever having like a debate with someone and they say one of these, you can just be like, oh, that's just a fallacy. That'll really get them. So here we go. So first you need to know that a claim, so if someone's making a claim, they're making an assertion. They're putting their opinion or their thought out there, and they're saying that this is my stance, basically. So here's some types of fallacy. The first one is called Hominem Fallacy or ad hominem fallacy. And this is where an individual attacks the character of the opposing person or the circumstances of an individual who is advancing a statement or an argument instead of speaking to disprove the truth of the statement or the soundness of the argument. So if you're arguing with someone and they say, you're arguing with someone about whether maybe the smoking age should be increased again to 21. Decreased to 18 instead of where it is 21 right now. And that person says, well, your nose is just way too big. Okay, so that is attacking the person, not what they have to say. So that is ad hominem. And hominem right here, anytime you see anything like that, it means like person. Latin, person, or being. Okay, the next kind of fallacy is called red herring, and this is a kind of fallacy when an irrelevant topic is introduced in an argument to divert the attention of listeners or readers from the original issue. So if someone is writing an article about why you should be pro-life, and then all of a sudden they go, well, I bet a lot of ballerinas are. Okay, so ballerinas have nothing to do with what your main topic or your main point or your thesis is. It does not at all. So they're trying to throw that in to maybe confuse you, or your opponent will start talking about something that is completely irrelevant, that isn't even about what you're discussing. That's red herring. Strawman fallacy. This is a type of fallacy that gives the impression of refuting an opponent's argument while actually refuting an argument that was not presented by that opponent. Have you ever been in an argument with someone and they say, they mention something and you're like, well, I didn't even say that. And so if someone says, I don't like the president, or I don't like what the president's doing right now, and someone else says, oh, so you don't like him? You don't support him? Is that what you're trying to say? So that is picking one thing that person said and going deeper and more broadly with it than what that person actually said. So this is really just elaborating or exaggerating on what another person said to kind of make them seem lesser. People will do this. So hasty generalization. This is a fallacy in which a conclusion that is reached is not logically justified by sufficient or unbiased evidence. So if you say, this is really prevalent in like psychology. So you need like a big focus group for your study, right? So if you have a group of 50 people and 3 of them are afraid of clowns because they went to a circus as a child, but the rest of the people went to the circus as a child, and then you say, okay, just because these people are afraid of clowns, it has to be because they went to a circus. Well, no, because other people went and they were not afraid, or still are not afraid of clowns. So there are other factors going into that has made that person have that fear. So if you're generalizing a group of people based off of just a few, that is hasty generalization. Circular reasoning. This is a logical fallacy in which the reasoner begins with what they're trying to end with. If the components are true, then the conclusion must be true. So someone could say, I am an A student. I always get A's. Therefore, I could not have gotten an F. Okay? You can't just state, therefore, I got an A. So just because you say you have, and that's what you've always gotten, doesn't mean that the other possibility is not there. So it is possible that that student didn't do as well as they always do. So that would be circular reasoning. You start with an argument and you circle back around. Rogerian argument. This is a negotiating strategy in which common goals are identified and opposing views are described as objectively as possible in an effort to establish common ground and reach an agreement. So this is basically what you need to do at the end of your papers. If you're writing like an argumentative paper, you want to set out how you feel, certainly in your essay, your stance, your claim, your assertion. You want to have all of that out first. But then at the end, you kind of want to say, okay, but I kind of understand where the other side is coming from. Because you want to be seen as objective, as seeing both sides of the issue. And you can't do that if you do not at least recognize that the other side has some benefit. So that's Rogerian argument. So those are some common types of fallacy that I hope that you can remember as we read further into different things, because they're going to be really useful, especially if you are reading something from a personal point of view or like a new article. A lot of the stuff that we are going to be reading is going to be nonfiction. So it's helpful to identify these things and be able to point them out, especially when it comes to writing.